Hey, good evening. It's 7:27 p.m. It is Thursday evening. It is November 21st. Oh, wow. This time is just going by so fast. I just wanted to come on here and make a video. I have been very, very busy. I've been keeping myself busy, and I have seen that the shifting around and cleaning up has, created more energy inside of me. So I'm glad and grateful for that. And I want to continue to, build more on my energy sources. It's just important for me to be in a space where I feel like I can, you know, thrive. You know what I mean? And I do encourage people to, keep their spaces as clean as possible. Some people, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I'm just one of those picky people, but I'm very sensitive to certain things, and I know what kind of environments are good for me and what isn't. So anyway, I wanted to come on here and let you guys know what I've been up to. I had mentioned how my kitchen has been a nightmare because there's very little cabinet space in the kitchen, and I share an apartment with my son, and it's two people here. I mean, it's cool. I love our living arrangement. However, it is very cramped, okay, when it comes to kitchen space and keeping things on the countertops and stuff. So and I actually was thinking how small the apartment was even when I was here by myself. So I got these. I showed these stands on Monday Merriment, and I actually just, they just showed one in the picture. No, I purchased two of them. That's how much extra space I need, and more um, places to put my objects on. So I put them side by side in the kitchen. I'm still not done putting things on the stand, but you can see that I got started. Arranging things. I wanted a place to put the coffee maker, a place to put the microwave, and I'm thinking about putting the toaster in that space. I'm going to be moving things around just to get the right spot. But yeah, I'm very happy with it, and it's making it so where the countertops aren't cluttered. I can actually work in there. Like if I have to chop vegetables, I don't have to push things to the side to make room. It's just so much better. And I remember thinking, on when I made Monday Merriment, I make Monday Merriment either on Saturdays or Sundays the day before Monday because I don't have time to make them in the morning on Monday. So I was mentioning, I wasn't really sure which color I picked out for the sink rack. Now, I don't recall ordering white, but I'm so grateful that I did get the white one because it matches the stands nicely. I was willing to, accept the black one too, but I'm happy with my purchase. Very happy with my purchase. And, I know it seems like really petty to talk about basic household items, but I will tell you, I have moved around a lot throughout the years, which I'm sure everyone is aware of. And it's always been like, okay, I'm moving. And then, when you're moving, and especially if you're moving by yourself, okay, or, you just, usually my son helps me if I move or something, but still, it's like, I don't like to put burdens on people. And I usually just say, okay, we'll just leave this or we'll throw this away so I can travel easier. But still, it's like I've always been like, okay, let me start all over again. So I'm 53 years old and I'm starting all over again. So it's almost like, it almost feels like, I'm always like moving into my first apartment, even though I've been in several apartments during my life. It's just the fact that I've moved around a lot. Yeah, so I was on my lunch break, I don't know, maybe a few days ago. Yeah, or was it last week? I don't even remember. Anyway, I wore this sweater and I decided to go to the Goodwill on, I think it's White Lane. I think it is. Anyway, so I stumbled upon a sweater that looks exactly like mine. So you can see me pulling the sleeve out as I took the picture. So what's important to me right now is to keep my mind stimulated. I'm the kind of person who always wants to act on what it is that's in my mind. I'm somebody who comes up with a lot of ideas, and I'm somebody who enjoys acting on them. You know what I mean? Because I feel as though if these things are in my imagination, they need to be brought into fruition. This is a part of who I am, And so I had mentioned my project on autodidacts, And I've been writing the rough draft and stuff, and I want to continue that because it's something that I think is really important. And also, I do believe that this suggestion would be um, a good thing. I mean, I'm not saying that people should or that it would be accepted, but I do think it's something that people should consider. You know what I mean? I had mentioned that growing up, I think everyone knows that I've dealt with bullying throughout my entire life, right? And I know that when this is one of the reasons why I had left school. Now it should make sense to people why I would do this. I've always been a goody two shoes. Okay, so I know that some people wanted to paint me out to be a rebellious person, and some people thought that that was the reason why I didn't. I was just doing it to be rebellious. No, it was in fact me being bullied or feeling like, always being made to feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? The feeling of being uncomfortable was extremely heavy. So, but that's it. But when I moved to this community, I kind of wanted to just forget about all of that stuff. I didn't want to bring it up. I just wanted to leave that behind. It's not something that I felt I wanted to talk about. I really didn't want to talk about those parts of my life because I think uh, it's tragic. You know what I mean? It's very tragic. Unfortunately, I do see that people based, what do you call it? I guess there's what they call classism that people like to break off into and stuff. And I guess my spirituality in who I am, I'm kind of classless in a lot of ways. Like, I can feel compassion for people who don't have things. And I can also be respectful to people who are higher up the chain on me. But I don't know. I guess I just accept people for how they are. You know what I mean? But but anyway, yeah, that was my story. So anyway, but yes, I am an autodidact, and I do believe that the school system should be revised in a way to where it creates, um, or it makes people uh, introduce what they learn into their working life, their everyday life, instead of going through the motions of just getting it done or learning or taking that test and passing it. It needs to be where it actually shows results, in their lifestyle as well as well as yeah, the choices that they make, as well as being able to see how these certain things that happen, whether that be uh, the English language or maybe learning things that apply in science to their real life everyday existence. Because why else are you learning this if it doesn't matter? You know what I mean? It should matter. Everything that you learn should be something that you use into your everyday life. I believe in holistic learning. So anyway, I thought this picture was kind of funny. On my lunch break, I like to do different things on my lunch break, and I had mentioned before that I think dealing with so much trauma. I mean, really, I feel very burned out. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I felt so compelled to clean my house and just move things, shift things, get things moving, because it took a lot out of me. I mean, mentally, like I told you, it's very difficult for me to focus on the past, certain things in the past, okay, that caused me mental anguish or depression or shock or whatever. And so, I basically have to live in the moment at this point in my life, okay? So, and while I have this intense, I will say that this kind of trauma is like almost like a blunt force trauma to the brain. Like it's almost like somebody hit me upside the head, because it leaves you with so very little. It debilitates you in a certain way, if you can understand what I'm saying. Because it makes it so that you're just constantly having to focus on what you're doing, because your mind, there's so much unpleasantness, okay, that went on in my life, that I don't find it uplifting, positive, or anything important to think about. It's better that I just not think about those things and just keep moving forward. But not be, overly obsessed with future events. You know what I mean? So this is how my thought process is, and I think it's important that my brain develops this way because this is how I survive. A lot of people get very depressed, especially if, you know, if somebody felt as though they lost a big part of their life. Like I feel like I lost a big part of my life growing up in the Antelope Valley with my fake family, and then understanding how the social setting was supposed to be. I was set up to be somebody's bully, be bully, and everything else. And so when I start to think about the experiment and how this, it was interwoven with religion and everything else, it it kills my view of mankind. I can honestly tell you that it disgusts me. It disgusts me because I carried a burden of people's brainwashing. You know what I mean? Um, and this is what causes me to feel the way that I do. So my mood goes up and down. It goes up and down a lot. Mainly because, like I said, it's quite shocking to find out things that you thought were one way, and then you come to realize that they're not. It's a lot on a person, and the psychological trauma is I can't tell you how much it is, but my solution is to throw myself into whatever it is I'm doing. This is how I can handle it. You know what I mean? This is the only way I can handle it. My mind is active, and I constantly have to be in that sort of mode of thinking. Otherwise, it's just like, because it takes so much out of my life. You know what I mean? And you wonder, like, without that spark in life, you have to have a spark. You have to have a drive. You have to have a will to live. Okay? And I will say that when you deal with something like this, it takes out so much. It takes out so much because you just look at people like they're nothing. I mean, this is how I felt, okay, for a very long time. And I do have compassion for people, and I know that I do, because as I was driving, to work yesterday, I saw these poor guys shivering in the cold. And then today, somebody at the gas station asked me if they had if I had an extra jacket. And I'm very, I feel compassion for people, but I also feel like this disgust that people would do something like this. Like somebody would actually think that this was an okay thing, and I understand that it was brainwashing. I understand how deep and level the brainwashing goes, but unfortunately, I was a recipient of that negativity. You know what I mean? And I survived it. And the reason why I survived it is obvious, because I have very strong genetic, what do you call it? Yeah, I'm genetic. My genetics is something that allows me that gives me like this extra kind of strength, okay, mentally and everything else. So, but I understand that this is something that could have destroyed a lot of people, and in a lot of ways, it just frazzles my mind. It does, okay? So I have to be, how can I say this? I have to take it one day at a time, and the time that I do take, I make sure that it's got my signature on it, meaning that I do as much as I can to make and find as much enjoyment in everything that I do, okay? Because I feel as though no one in this world is going to give me that. I have to give that to myself. Okay, I don't believe that. And I am very grateful that things turned out in a very peaceful way between the United States and England and all this other stuff. I think that's wonderful. I do. I think that I do have a good way of talking and communicating or resolving issues. And I do think that that is something that is God-given. I do. I understand that I have a connection to the divine, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. And I've always had that. And I think that this is one of the reasons why I was always perceived as a nerd. You know, and some people think I'm geeky or whatever, you know, I guess whatever. I was self-analyzing a couple of days ago, and I kept thinking, okay, how much of a geek am I really? You know, I guess I'm okay with that. I guess I'm totally okay with that, you know what I mean? But, you know, it does help me survive. It helps me deal with things. You know what I mean? Some people might think, gosh, you know, you're extra. Yeah, I'm very extra. I'm extra. I'm so extra that you can't even believe how extra I am. But you know what? I deserve to be extra. I deserve to be extra. You know. Anyway, um, I wanted to address some people. You guys know who you are, but I always try to be discreet, but you guys know who I'm talking to. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Capricorn 9. Yeah, I've been seeing you guys on Facebook, right? And I had friended you guys, and see, I know that you guys have multiple accounts, or you know, and then sometimes I don't want to have to sit here and like meditate. It's like, is this really them, or you know, I don't want to have to overthink stuff. Okay, so don't think that you know I subscribe to I even say Facebook, yeah, your Facebook, and yeah, I mean, I enjoy seeing you guys' pictures. I wanted to say to Capricorn 9 that this morning as I was getting dressed, I was putting on a cardigan. And see, I've always been a cardigan person, right? But I have to say, I love your blazers. I absolutely love your blazers. Love them. Love, love, love your blazers. I wish I had a collection of blazers. I love blazers. You know, and I've always liked blazers, but I would say now that I'm like in my 50s, I like blazers even more. You know what I mean? Because you can do so many things with them. You can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with skirts. They're so, you know, interchangeable. And then I also saw some pictures of you where you had restyled one of your dresses, and I thought, dude, that is so cool that you do that. You know what I mean? I think that's brilliant, and I love your clothes. I love your style, and you know what I love seeing you in, especially I like seeing you in um, primary colors. Like when I see you in reds and true blues and like greens, those like those deep primary colors. I think, oh my goodness. I mean, you look good in anything. You look good in pastels too, but it's just like you really like you just like okay. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I wanted to tell you about your pictures and how beautiful you are. Okay, so also now I also want to address Scorpio 14. I saw that dance clip of you, that little clip of you dancing, and I thought that was really cute. It's nice to see you smiling and laughing. Really, it is. You know what I mean? Having a good time. I personally have not hit the dance floor. I would love to, but unfortunately, I really have not done a whole lot. I just got my house, started to get my house in order, and I really think that it starts at home first. Like, you know, let me get my stuff in order first, and then I will think about playtime. You know, and I will say that growing up, I have learned to self-regulate. I have learned to self-regulate because you know I had known that like would have to deal with serious consequences when I was younger if I skipped that step. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't what do you call it? You know, do something before I did, like, you know how your mom says, like, do your homework before you go out and play. And if I went out and played before I got my homework done, then I would get, like, this whole, you know, uh, scolding or whatever. And I started realizing that I don't want people to have to tell me twice. You know what I mean? And it just got to the point where I self regulate. As an adult, I self regulate. So it's like until my house is in order, I really don't want to go out and have too much fun. And then, you know, I have to put these little things on myself, and I do so very well. I am very self-disciplined, and I think this is one of the reasons why kids bully me when I was in school. And I have not always been that way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I graduated in steps. You know, I mean, like, you know, at this particular age, I was able to manage this particular task, and then as I got older, but yeah, I did have some disorganization when I was younger, and then if I started really thinking about it, then I would just correct the problem, and that's what I try to do as much as I possibly can. I don't like being sloppy. I can't stand being sloppy. Okay, what else did I want to say? But yeah, I think it's cool that you're out, you're dancing and experiencing new things. I think that's all. It's really cool. Also, Cancer 21. I got the like a spiritual download that you had this really deep experience, and like you dipped out and then you dipped back in, if you know what I'm talking about, and then you're sharing that story with other people, which I think is awesome. I think it's awesome that you're sharing that story for the simple fact that it gives people hope. You know what I mean? And yeah, so even though I think, according to what was written, which I do think we were meant to be butting heads according to what people had planned, I did never wanted to butt heads with you. And I'm really glad that, you had this spiritual experience. And in some ways, perhaps maybe that was maybe not quite written in the book, but it turned out well. And hey, I think that's awesome. And as much as you can share your story, I think it's important because people need something to live for, you know? Anyway, what else do I want to say? I got some other intuitive messages I wanted to mention really quick. Okay, so, I realized, oh, okay, good. I'm still recording. I realized that I got the spiritual download that my mother, Mary Gordon, knew about CB's legacy since she was a child, and which I figured that. And I also got the download that my parents' marriage was also arranged, and I'm like, oh my God, not arranged, but you know how people work things behind the scenes and everything like that. And I kept thinking, and I've always compared how disappointing life can be, and I also bring up the issue of how it all starts off with the breakdown. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I believed in Santa Claus because my parents told me to believe in Santa Claus. And then one day my mom pulled me aside and told me there was no Santa Claus. And that took a little chip out of me, right? And then, you travel through life and you find out that, life is not this romance novel, or it's not like, something that you see on TV. And that's like, oh shit. And then you find out, your parents aren't as rock steady as you thought they were. Like, they're not, they didn't just like fall in love and have this like, no, it was this, hey, life can be very disappointing sometimes, okay? And I understand that my mom probably did, my mom was kind of like sarcastic a lot of times, and I will say that she had her good times, but I think when you are the scapegoat in the family, oftentimes when your mom feels like she's having a bad day, she's the one that she's gonna take it out on. You're the one she's gonna take it out on, right? And that's how she was a lot of times, But I understand she's, at peace. I have like communicated with her, and I have gotten messages from her. I don't have any animosity towards her, but I still feel like this whole experience it just really threw me away. It just blew me away completely. Anyway, also I get the message that CB Berganza was like a total bohemian type person. Like, I get the feeling that he engaged in a lot of mind-altering substances. Now, I think a lot of people know, and I'm not going to go too much into this, that I do smoke marijuana. But I am not. I'm probably far, far, far off from where CB Berganza was. CB Berganza probably indulged in all kinds of weird stuff. Oh, perhaps. Okay, I don't know for sure. But, I've always been very careful about how far I would go with certain things. And I do, marijuana is now legal here in the state of California. And, marijuana has never affected my ability to get up in the morning. It's never affected my ability to function in any way. Now, I don't think I would just do a bunch of stupid stuff. I'm responsible, you know what I mean? And I think some people drink, like I said, I drink every night now and then. And some people don't, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things, and I guess, but I do want to kind of touch about, on the subject of CB Berganza being kind of like what some people perceive to be like a free-spirited person who didn't have any stability. You have to understand the root of it. the root of it is that C.B. Braganza was somebody who was distanced from his family, from his any connection. Okay, so he was basically somebody who was just wandering around. And when it comes to this whole devil's playbook, what I mean by that is like people who, the secret societies that got together and arranged all of this stuff because they wanted to do the bloodline type, battling or whatever. Is that, I do believe that when they talk about the wandering Jew in the Bible, they kind of made this particular bloodline or certain people wandering Jews in a sense of where they don't have any of those, so that form of stability. And so when I think about C.B. Braganza's life, I'm thinking this is a man who traveled a lot of different places, and he really didn't have any close connections. Okay, so you learn to develop around a life where you're pretty much just kind of drifting on your own. And I will tell you, I'm a very comfortable loner. Don't get me wrong, okay? Yeah, there's times where you get lonely. You know what I mean? I don't mind having company. I know back in the 90s I would have company and stuff like that, and that's fine, okay? But I am a loner, and I'm comfortable by myself. And I think, this is just how C.B. Braganza adapted. It's not that, I was, somebody who felt, because I'm trying to start a new, what do you call it, fad of where other people need to start living like me. That's not it. This is 100% circumstantial. And because this happened, this is how I developed based on this. Okay, from the very get-go. So when C.B. Braganza passed away and he came back as Maria Borden, the rumors and the following around and having agents and stuff like that, putting bugs in people's ear, being a topic of controversy, you're basically just picking up. C.B. Braganza is basically just picking up where he left off, with people, attacking him or bullying him or whatever it was, So, yeah. Anyway, what else do I want to say? But yeah, I'm not. It was not something done out of being rebellious. It's just that I'm a person who has adapted. I function autonomously. I'm an autonomous person. And that's just how it is. Okay, yeah, I did talk about me being bullied in school. Yeah, I think a lot of people are talking, and I also get the spiritual message that some churches are, or maybe, I don't know, maybe all the churches, I don't know, but are converting to some of my teachings, which I know that this has happened before, like in the 19th century. But yeah, I do get this feeling that they are. And I want to tell people when it comes to, this is me, okay? This is me. When it comes to me connecting to God, okay? I refer to it as the source, universal powers, forces, whatever, however you see it. We are a human, so we have no real concept. No one can really grasp the concept of how deep that all is, okay? But when I connect, I believe that the best way is to do so uninhibited, like in your most sincerest form. And some people may feel compelled to get up and dance. Now, I'm not one of those people, but okay, for example, there are certain churches, that like the Negro churches, they refer to them the Negro churches, or black churches, okay? They were more spiritual, they were more, dancing and that sort of stuff. And whereas, like, some white churches were more reserved, sang hymns and whatever, it was just kind of laid back and whatever. And so some of them looked at black people like, well, they're heathens because this is how they feel. This is the spirit that moves them this way. And no, this is what their emotions is telling them to do, and they're throwing themselves into it. They're like really feeling some sort of connection, okay, regardless of the doctrine or whatever. And this is just an example, is what I'm saying. Some people feel comfortable praying in the middle of nature. Some people feel comfortable, just laying on the bed or whatever. It doesn't have to be that deep, but it does have to be sincere. And it's, this is all I'm saying, But anyway, I think that's wonderful. Is there something else I wanted to mention? Yeah, my parents' marriage was set up. Yeah, that really does hurt me, but whatever, it's like whatever, you know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why Maria is so very extra. I'm extremely extra, you know what I mean? And it has to be that way, you know what I mean? And it's my way of saying, you know what, I'm going to give myself back as much as I possibly can, and I deserve it. And some people will never, don't see that, like they think it's bad to love yourself. I will tell you that really is the main person that you should focus on. And then there's a difference between loving yourself first and being selfish. There's a complete difference, okay? All I'm going to say is love is a very rare gift, so don't waste it. Love those who deserve it. But I also believe that people should show a certain form of consideration towards other people. Like, I don't ever want to be the cause of pain to anybody. Like, I don't want to ever deliberately hurt anybody or do anything that's going to cause their life any sort of trouble at all. I don't. I don't want to interfere with anybody's nothing. I don't ever want to harm anybody. And so as long as other people aren't harming anyone and they're acting within the guidelines of the law, then, it is what it is. But anyway, I'm getting very tired, as you can tell. And anyway, so I'm just staying busy, keeping myself entertained, and just kind of acting on my ideas. I need something to grasp onto, something to, like, care about. And I would say it's my work, it's my thoughts. It's the things that come to my mind that is the most important thing to me. You know what I mean? I'm a creative person, and that's pretty much the only thing that really drives me. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.